Yo, Kaiju Wrecking Crew. I'm Spotted Menace, and this is what we have in store for you tonight. The results of this past No Mercy pay-per-view, Bullet Club's invasion and legal war with WWE, and we give our take on the NFL's kneeling controversy. This is your HEELKAIJU podcast.
We don't know where this monster came from. All we know is that he's angry and that he is here to destroy.
You better watch your step. A crush warning is now in effect. Coming through, no regrets. The city's erect. Total devastation. The mission and its statement. Watching body y'all comers. Villainy for entertainment. We'll take a basic ride in the dirt, break his back and laugh at him with a smirk. Throw across the skyline. World champ 2 times. He's got the microphone. Sit back and listen up. HEELKAIJU Radio. Pull a chair and turn this shit up.
Welcome back, everybody, to the HEELKAIJU podcast. I am your host, though this time around I am without my other half. That's right, Spotted Daria is not with us at the moment. She's actually at the hospital nursing her own batch of illnesses, and that's exacerbated her asthma. So if you can, let's give out as much love and appreciation to my sister Daria, because she is quite possibly the one person right now who is keeping me in check, and I am off the leash, so everything is about to go crazy today.
Oh dear.
With me today is our resident superhero pup. Say what's up, King Dead.
What's up, King Dead?
Just like he's supposed to, apparently. That's what we're doing. And we also have our most eloquent blue mage. What's up, mage?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing tonight?
Thank you, mage. That was quite elegant.
I try my best. That's all I can do. It's what you people deserve. It's what you need.
Yes, it is what I need. It is what I deserve. So let's get into it real quick. But before we do, if you do happen to, and I know I botched this just a little bit, just un poquito. I botched this just a little bit. If you are on Twitter, go ahead and throw out as many well wishes as you possibly can to my sister. She is at @spotted_Daria. That is DARIA. Go ahead and throw her love, and I'll make sure that she has her notifications turned on so she can spread her own batch of love. By the way, she does say hi. I just came from visiting her, so hi guys, as she might say. Yay! And as you can hear right here, I am also a very sick boy. I'm a sick boy. I'm a sick boy, and I'm trying to nurse this baby back to health. But before we linger on our particular ailments today, let's get into it. This past Sunday, we just had No Mercy. It was how would y'all rank No Mercy? Like how would y'all rate that? I give it like maybe a C+, B-.
Yeah, maybe a B- sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to round up when it comes to grading shit. So
yeah, so a B- show, not yet a B+ player like Daniel Bryan. A B- show. We're not going to go into the full details of the results. You can go ahead and catch it on the WWE Network, or see the results on your various platforms that have arisen from the internet. But we do have a few key matches that we wanted to bring up, namely the fact that what the hell are they planning on doing with Bray Wyatt? It's the Bray Wyatt problem. What is going on there? We see this man get beat at the previous pay-per-view, SummerSlam, by the Demon King, Finn Balor. Just beat clean. It just happened. No
no hows, no whys, no nothing.
It just happened. It just happened. There was no consequences. There was no stakes. And
that I think is the most damning problem, is that there were no consequences. And a story with no consequences is a story that will go nowhere.
Yeah, and it's already see. I had initially, I think I predicted Bray winning at SummerSlam, and I was wrong. So this time around, it's No Mercy. The Demon King is gone. It's a man-to-man fight. Bray Wyatt beats the crap out of Finn Balor before the bell rings. I mean, the absolute crap out of him, to the point that the WWE officials are ready to call the match. Excuse me, because, as I said, I am a sick boy. I apologize for that. You will hear a cough or two. But he beats the crap out of him. They're escorting him towards the back. They're getting up the ramp, and he manages to taunt Finn enough to have him come right back down the ramp to the ring, ready to fight again. This man has been beat up from behind, and Bray Wyatt is incapable of putting him away. So now I'm 0 for 2 on my predictions. Bray Wyatt is 0 for the century on any meaningful matches.
I'm gonna have to use that one.
You know what, you can have that one, but I'm kind of stuck on what they're doing with him. They have sort of had him link in a way with Goldust through face paint and nothing more, and we're really getting nothing. So the guy that reads all of the cryptic quotes and has a mic presence on the scale. Wow,
it's okay. We'll cut it in post.
We'll have to. It's NyQuil, baby. That's what this is. This is a NyQuil cast. So give me 1 second. I'll get right back on track. He has great skill in cutting promos. There we go. And the problem is, it stops being captivating when the guy who keeps coming up with the "I'm the eater of worlds" goes hungry. Like, he hasn't eaten. Whose world has he eaten?
He's certainly not, threatening Galactus's food supply if we're going by world eating.
Yeah, that's not happening. It's not happening at all. So what do you think that they're planning on doing with him? And if you are just at a loss for what they're trying to do, what would you do to help Bray Wyatt? Because he's a very talented guy. He is incredibly talented. I love his character, but his character doesn't withstand continual abuse from WWE creative and losing match after match and feud after feud. You have to have him win something. And somewhere down the line, this is a guy who was once WWE champion, like months ago. He was WWE champion, and now he's just here. He'll come in, the lights will go off, he'll blow out his electric lantern, everybody will turn on the flashlight app on their phones and wave it in the crowd. They'll do that for him, but after a while, you have to start wondering, what is next?
I thought with this creepy angle that they were kind of going to... No one can ever fill the Undertaker's boots, man. Not by a long shot. But they were going to, from my perception, provide not necessarily a replacement, but a new take, a fresher, kind of like more psycho horror based take on the Undertaker, because on top of being comedy gold, especially with the projections on the ring with the bugs and the snakes and all that, that I loved and I wanted to see more of. But if they're just going to keep humiliating the guy, then it's a wasted gig. We really deserve another guy like Undertaker, and I think Bray Wyatt has more than the chops to pull it off. If you give him somebody to work as his own pole bearer, we could be entering a new golden age here. But it's up to WWE creative to actually run with the angle. Again, I've been on record on this very podcast tonight in this very ring. I've been on record about saying that wrestling is at its best when it's theatrical, when there's dramatic stakes at play, when there's weight and impetus behind it. You know, it's athleticism and it's theater. You know, it absolutely demands that. I think Bray Wyatt demands more theater than athleticism per se, but nonetheless, I think that's precisely what he needs to be absolutely one of the I hate to say new faces, but like WWE is constantly trying to reinvent itself and try and ingratiate itself as like a premier thing and like lock name brands and faces more or less in with their wrestling crowd. I believe that angle would benefit them immensely, but again, the matter comes to stop having him constantly eat losses.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. I mean,
I'm sorry that I got so protracted there, but
I am disappointed they're not going more with the whole cult leader angle and everything. Like, of all places, the WWE comic that Boom Studio is putting out has done like this amazing job of telling these ridiculous stories that make more sense storyline-wise than the actual storyline. Yeah. And Bray's like compound is full of insane masked people, like we saw when the New Day visited, and it's like I'd like to see more of that. Like bring in new people if he's like if he's a cult leader still, like where are his worshipers?
Right? Yeah.
Honestly, like part of me really needs to see just that right there, because I don't know if you were watching during the Straight Edge Society angle. Something like that would be perfect, pulling someone from the crowd, or even give him a jobber to beat and then indoctrinate into the cult.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. That would be perfect, man.
But like they had a chance. They really had a chance. A few years ago when they paired him and the Wyatt family up against the Brothers of Destruction. It was Kane, it was Undertaker, and Bray Wyatt was basically because like Bray Wyatt was basically stealing the Undertaker's powers, and they started to get a kernel of that, and then it ended in just a throwaway match at a pay-per-view, and nothing else happened. And
sorry, I was gonna say I'm just annoyed. Like, they played up Finn suddenly having supernatural abilities, and I thought we were going to have this weird, awesome, like, horror style match of some sort where they're both one-upping and challenging each other's abilities.
Yeah, just not that weird.
And we had it once. They did it once on a stupid Raw and never branched it again. It's like, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, for some reason, I think they're just incapable of committing to Bray Wyatt, even though I'm positive the fans are receptive to Bray Wyatt, but it's starting to get harder and harder to really care about him as a character if, again, everything that he does is inconsequential. If this was any medium outside of wrestling, if this was like a comic book or anything like that, then yeah, he can lose and it won't really have any effect on him, because like he's still losing to larger than life people, and the people that he interacts with, the normal folk, are still able to be put under his thumb and under his guidance. But that's not where we are. We're not in a comic book. It's not TV. It's not anime. We're in wrestling. And in wrestling, as many times as they want to tell you that your win-loss record really doesn't matter, it's the story you tell. It kind of does matter when winning things actually gets you raised up on each rung on the ladder to success in the business.
Yes.
So like these losses actually do have an effect on his character. And each time you have him eat a loss instead of eat a world,
that's a good way to put it.
Why should we care? So Bray Wyatt loses to Finn, and in Bizarro world, in a perfect world, or not really a perfect world, but if everybody's cards were played right, in 205 Live, I think we said it before, 205 Live, we would have Zack Sabre Jr. and Kota Ibushi on the roster. And like this would be the darkest timeline to have all of that talent plus Zack Sabre Jr. and Kota Ibushi losing to a guy like Enzo Amore. That's right, Enzo Amore has gold.
Bray's darkest timeline either.
I've been watching a lot of Community this past week, so
Is that where it's sprung up?
Yes. Yeah, that's where it's from.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
It's definitely fitting because it would be. Cause I don't know if my heart could take Enzo doing that little stop start dance that he does, that little proto Running Man in the middle of the ring with Kota and Zach on the sidelines, just like not getting the push. But
Kota should probably be delighted. He likes that kind of nonsense.
Oh yeah, no, he would. I wouldn't. Like, there's a difference though. It's like he'd be smiling, but at the same time, I'm like, why?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about Kota Ibushi. WWE needs him. He doesn't need them.
Oh yeah, he's shown that.
He's freelance as hell. He knows he can do absolutely what he wants. He's actually his family is ridiculous rich. Not even kind of rich. What's his name? Tino Sabati or Sabatelli. He's I can do whatever I want with my life, and I choose to be a wrestler, and I'm gonna wrestle a blow up doll to a 5-star match, Rich.
And he does get that 5-star, but we have Enzo. We have Enzo, and we have Enzo holding up gold. Out of both members of Enzo and Kaz, Enzo is the first one with gold. I want you to let that sink in.
It's exhausting to think about.
It really is. So
Kaz was in no way ready for anything, though. That's the other thing.
Well, I mean, he was getting better, though, is the thing.
Yeah, it wasn't better enough and not in the timetable that WWE wanted.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, you can't go, okay, he's getting better. I just said he's getting better. He is getting better, but the problem is he's getting better against Enzo Amore.
Yeah.
They're splitting him off.
What was he doing all those years on NXT where he was obviously not getting better talking or getting a better build or anything else?
Yeah, you have to start wondering. But we have Enzo Amore, and I keep saying it, and I still won't believe it. It's Enzo Amore with the goal. He is now your new Cruiserweight champion. And on the Raw after No Mercy. This was a Raw after No Mercy.
Yes, it was. It was this past Monday.
Oh my goodness. He ended the show.
Yep. Show closed out with Enzo Amore and the Cruiserweights.
Yeah, the show closed out with Enzo Amore and the Cruiserweights, and I hate to admit it, this would not happen if it weren't for Enzo Amore.
No, I mean, he elevated to the brand. Neville had been elevating the brand. He elevated the brand to another level altogether.
Yeah, just by existing and being Enzo. Of course, by existing and being Enzo, he got his ass kicked in the ring after the cameras went off by Braun Strowman and the rest of the Cruiserweights. So there's that. There's that little lovely image. And that's not sarcasm. That was a lovely image to see him just get the crap.
Oh, God, he got just brutalized. I loved it.
Just beat to hell. But everybody's talking about the Cruiserweights now, so he's done his job. At the same time, though, I'm still not disappointed, because I'm really not disappointed. This is exactly what the Cruiserweights need. Somebody like him. Yeah. I'm not disappointed. I am, though. I'm worried. I'm just a little bit worried and just slightly nonplussed, because there's still so many people in the Cruiserweight division that I would love to see wear that gold. There's still so many things that I would love to see them do outside of being hamstrung into a Cruiserweight division. But here we are, c'est la vie. On the plus side, there not really was an illusion, but Enzo did have an order from Kurt Angle, the general manager of Raw, that if anybody laid their hands on him, they'd lose out on their chance for the title. And honestly, I'm kind of taking it as an out for Neville, who did it on camera, even though it was referenced on 205 Live, I'm still saying that canonically, Neville is basically kicked out of the division. And it allows him to do other things elsewhere, which is a great thing. It's a way for them to bridge the gap between the cruiserweights and the rest of the roster, because it does kind of feel like there is just like a barrier, a glass ceiling for these guys who are under 205. So that's what's happening with Enzo. That's what's happening with the cruiserweights. And then we follow that up with our final topic for No Mercy, so we're not completely stuck on that for the full time. We have Braun Strowman versus Brock. Brock ends up getting the win with an F5. The fact that he managed to get a near 400-pound guy up, I know he's done it before with the Big Show, but for some reason this felt a little bit more impressive because he had somebody who was equally as athletic for his build as somebody like a Brock Lesnar. Like, I'm talking about, we're talking about Braun Strowman kipping up and doing amazing drop kicks and stuff. So it's not like he's just grabbing a tree log and F5ing him. He's grabbing Braun Strowman. He ends up beating him, retaining the Universal title. So what's next for Braun? What's next for Brock? What's next for the Universal title?
I mean, it seems like, what's next for the Universal title is Roman Reigns' coronation at WrestleMania, as much as no one is looking forward to that again.
Okay, we kind of intentionally steered away from Roman Reigns and John Cena, but yeah,
I know it seems like this inevitable death march that we've been moving to for years now, and each time it hasn't worked, but they insist it has to work.
The microphone did not capture my very long, protracted, disgusted sigh at the very mention of Cena going down to Reigns, and I was just like,
oh god. And the way it happened with the mandatories, it's like, hey, he's great now,
he's the guy, and I'm walking off into the sunset.
It's like, that's it. And it's like, he bested me, love him. And it's like, it just feels so forced.
Was he calling that in to anybody else?
I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm not mad that Roman would have won. It's not that. It's more the way it happened, the way the climax happened, and then out of nowhere, as I said, Cena walks off into the sunset. He rolls out of the ring to everybody chanting his name and waves. Like he did the Rock job, raising his hands up and going like, "This is the guy." And then he leaves, and it makes it feel like he's leaving for good. We know he's not gone for good. He's got dates still left. He still has obligations with the company still left that we get to see him. But at the same time,
I'm like, if Cena's walking, I'm freaking out. Okay,
yeah.
I am a Cena fanboy to my grave. You know this as well as I do.
Yeah.
Like I have the freaking Never Give Up shirt in my closet. You've seen me wear it.
Yep.
I am absolutely he's my go-to boy to bat for. Like, don't, just don't.
It's gonna happen sometime.
Yeah,
it's just
I know.
It's just a way that like if this is it, like this is a horrible story to tell. It really is, because it feels like a fast-tracked John Cena Rock 2. Not the good one, not the first one, not the once-in-a-lifetime one. The second one, where it started feeling corny and rehashed, and again, no stakes. No stakes whatsoever.
Didn't we even talk about this a couple casts ago?
Yeah, we did.
What the hell?
It's
what the absolute fresh hell?
Are we
just reduced to rehashing storylines now?
This is WWE, so yeah.
I know there's that whole thing about the hero with 1,000 faces and this, that, and the other thing, but really, are we that creatively bankrupt now?
It is WWE creative. So
it is WWE creative.
So chances are, like right now, Brock Lesnar. Wow, you see where I'm at right now. Damn. It seems like Brock is getting groomed and ready to drop the title to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. If it happens, it happens, and we're just gonna have to deal with it. Again, c'est la vie.
Yeah.
But honestly, there are worse things that could happen. He may be grooming himself and dropping the title to Enzo Amore for all we know. If the main roster is having trouble selling tickets and putting butts in the seats, you might see you soft, you slop, and he's running out with the Universal title in his hands. And I just made myself feel sad. So that's it for No Mercy. We're done with No Mercy. It's a B- show. It's slightly above average. It wasn't bad, but it definitely wasn't, the best out there, especially considering that we just had like one of the better pay-per-views of the year and takeovers of the year like a few weeks ago. So that's where we are. But moving on, we have a pretty weird and wild and wacky topic. I mean, it really isn't. It's more legal battles and depositions and ceasing and desisting. But apparently, in the Fallout show this past Monday, the Bullet Club, we're talking the Young Bucks, Cody, and his wife, were at Raw. Dang, I need a cough button. My goodness. They were in the same area as Raw, and they decided to do a little invasion, pay homage to D-Generation X when they went and invaded WCW with that tank. And they really didn't make the biggest of splashes comparatively. It was though just an homage. Had a few fans with Bullet Club gear and the like, and it was fun. It was all the good fun. They invaded, so to speak. And in response, at least some are speculating it's in response to this little invasion, this little tongue-in-cheek, we know how to rile up the smarks and marks, yay, that the Bullet Club did. WWE has issued a cease and desist order for the Bullet Club, namely the Young Bucks, to stop using the Too Sweet that they do in their respective promotions in which they compete. Now, my question is that an overreach? WWE is just this petty. I mean, we're all talking about the organization that fired CM Punk on his wedding day. So they are this petty. So this is a thing that it could be literally just in relation to the fact that Bullet Club were at Raw and being smart. So they are petty enough to do this. But do you think that this is kind of an overreach for the hand signaling and the too sweeting and all of the ways that the Bullet Club and namely the Young Bucks have been managing to stay relevant without the world's biggest wrestling company?
Yeah, honestly, yes. I mean, this Too Sweet symbol has existed way before WWE. I mean, the whole thing just seems petty, and especially since they hadn't enforced it for years now, and only are doing it right now when it looks like, when Bullet Club shirts are making a ton of money and they're not selling as hot themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that really makes the most sense. It's a shame, though, because, again, the main reason why I cape so hard for WWE is because they make a lot of their content much more accessible than some of the indie organizations. It's a lot easier to watch them. And when you do watch them, you still do have some great talent involved, whether it's under the 205 blanket or the NXT blanket or what have you. They do have some of the better wrestling out there, not the absolute best, but they have some of the better wrestling out there. And it, as I said, it makes it easier to consume it. So when I say that I want X wrestler in the WWE, it's not because I want to see them sanitized and put through the machine of trying to find just the perfect way to market them. It's because I just want to see them on my TV screen with much greater regularity than I otherwise would. So when I say I wanted to see the Young Bucks and Cody back in WWE, it's just because I want to see them on my TV. I want to see them on my TV screen. I want to see them streamed. I want it to be easier to consume the content that they provide, to consume the work that they've done. But in this instance, like, you know, I really do hope that pretty much almost every member of the Bullet Club tell WWE to go to hell. Because this is just like beyond the pale. This is, as I said, it's petty. But the Young Bucks have turned it on their ear by actually selling cease and desist shirts where they censor them doing the too sweet hand signal and actually censoring the word sweet into sweet. So they know how to make money like gangbusters, and here you are antagonizing them.
Yeah.
For no other reason than your own hurt egos. What the hell, WWE?
I don't know if I'm going to be able to touch that one, man, because, like, matter of defending the indefensible.
That's really all this is. I don't see how you can defend this, because it's not as if they're walking around trying to promote themselves as former members of WWE or trying to make money off of your name. Off of your name. They're not. Whatsoever. But the fact that you can get provoked into what might amount to a PR nightmare, because we know that WWE has deep pockets and they could just ride this out to the end. But if the Young Bucks are able to, and they have been able to stir up enough of a frenzy, if they are able to stir up the court of public opinion against WWE, it's not easy. But if they can do it just enough to make it not worth the fight to keep this up, that will be the biggest black mark on WWE. Not the biggest, because we got a few, actual dead bodies and actual black marks, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? It's hyperbole. But keep your eye out on this, on the cease and desist order, on the Bullet Club. Keep your eyes out on the Young Bucks, because they are some smart individuals, and they know how to make this work. And this could end up being one of the worst things that WWE ends up doing for their brand. On to our next one. Yeah, as you can hear, all the lively pep is just missing. I miss my sister, baby.
Aw. She
ain't here to keep me trying to. I'm trying to entertain you, and she ain't here.
Miss her too.
So I'm gonna pour one out in a glass, mix it with some Coke. I'm talking about getting some Jameson and just like popping that back. But on to
actually, I was gonna get even more Motlin, but you know what? Maybe not.
But on to our next topic. We got the start of Ultima Lucha Trace for Lucha Underground. It just started this past Wednesday. It's basically their WrestleMania. If you've never watched Lucha Underground, please go ahead and do that. First two seasons are up on Netflix. It's basically it's the way that Made said it. It's like without the pageantry. What is wrestling? This is wrestling with peak pageantry. Like if you've ever straight up said that wrestling is just soap opera for men, first of all, like, men like soap opera. Why? What is you doing, baby? That's one thing. Second of all, this is basically just that. They actually maintain a living kayfabe, which is to say, if you don't know what kayfabe means, just like characters are the characters. The actions are the actions, and they maintain that storyline without you having to, go and see Kane without his mask running for the mayor of Knox County. I mean, like he's actually doing. But go ahead, catch it. First 2 seasons are on Netflix. First season is a little bit slow. Second season is the best.
Oh, it picks right the hell up around season 2.
Right the hell up. Season 3, however, the reason why we're bringing this up is because this is basically the season finale. This is their WrestleMania. It's the season finale of season 3. And the problem that I'm having with season 3, though, is there was a major break between the first half of season 3 and the second half of season 3. And in my opinion, it took all the wind out of the sails of what was starting to be one of their best seasons, to the point where I've got episodes on backlog on my DVR ready to be binge watched so I can get prepared for Ultima Lucha Trace.
That's kind of what I do too, so I feel a little less alone in the world now.
I mean, like, honestly, that is one of the best ways to do it, because I suck at watching TV as it comes. I absolutely suck at that. I have to sit down and watch it. Oh yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. exactly like that. I can't watch TV as it comes. I used to be able to do that when I was a kid, but there are other things taking my attention, which is kind of a surprise because I ain't got homework. I don't have to worry about trying to ride my bike down the street and all. I don't have to worry about all that. I got to worry about bills. I got to worry about mortgages. I still got homework to worry about. And bills, yeah. So. But that season 3 break kind of took the wind out of the sails for me, so I have to catch up on it. Honestly, my big question is, will another break like this, if there is a season 4, I think there is, I think they're shooting for it right now. If there is a season 4 for Lucha Underground, and there is another mid-season break as it was, because there wasn't one for the first 2 seasons. If there is a mid-season break for that, do you think that it might be somewhat of a death knell for Lucha Underground? Because
I sure hope not.
I wouldn't want it to, but at the same time, I mean, yes, because that's way too long of a gap.
Because what was it, like almost 2 months?
Yeah, it was a long. I mean, the span between season 1 and 2 was ridiculously long, but that gap during season 3 was just painful.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's weird because after Ultima Lucha and then the start of season 2, that was a pretty big gap. But the gap came with the anticipation of something new and fresh. But like season 3 had like momentum going and going and going and going, and then it just stopped. And you have to
dropped completely dead.
Yeah, like I ended up having like old episodes because all they were showing were reruns in the same time slot. And I had old reruns of season 1 and season 2 filling up my DVR. And I almost got to the point where I just said, you know what? I'm just going to, wait for the season to end and try to catch it after the fact. I was about to take it off my DVR list because I was getting tired of seeing like, oh, hey, there's a new recording of Lucha Underground. Oh, wait, no, that's season 1. That's season 1. That's season 2. Nope. Not going to watch it. It's already losing in some aspects by it showing up on a network that doesn't globally
promote or support it or nourish
it.
I
mean it does kind of promote it, but it doesn't show it in HD.
Yeah, it does.
I haven't been able to catch it in HD on
I have it in HD on mine.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. It's like on mine it doesn't show HD. On yours it might. And like that to me already kind of is a strike against it. Like, why isn't that shared universally, regardless of the platform? Like, I can catch it on HD on Netflix, but that's about it. I can catch the clips in HD on YouTube, but that's about it. What's up with that? Help me out with that. But you add another break like that in season 4 where people are invested and then it just stops. And it's like, we'll see you in a couple of months.
I know it's been absolutely gut-wrenching for my brother to watch Game of Thrones because the breaks between the seasons are getting more and more ridiculous. And I don't like the trends that this portends. I don't like waiting for anything thing is always going to be its own reward. Let's not kid ourselves.
True that.
But waiting too long has the absolute opposite negative effect of just sucking all the life and joy out of everything you were looking forward to. Like
especially if it
past a certain point, you begin to reach the Half-Life 3 threshold.
Oh yeah, they're still waiting for that. But it's even more damning when it feels like it comes out of left field, where it doesn't feel like it's conveyed and communicated well enough to the fans that this is just going to be what's happening. And I felt like it really wasn't. Maybe I missed a post or two, but like literally I went from like, oh snap, I'm watching Lucha Underground to it's just stopping and here's reruns, and I never really saw much to advertise that, hey, this is going to be happening. There's going to be a two maybe 3 month break in the middle of the season, so you're going to have to adjust. It just felt like it just happened, and honestly, to me, if that happens again, it might end up loosening the appeal and the popularity of Lucha Underground, and I love it. I freaking love it. I love the characters there. I really do.
I just love the fact that it's freaking Lucha Libre, you know? You don't get a chance to see that.
Yeah.
That's very true. That is very true. On to our next one. I know my segues are so professional and lovely. You gotta love it. Just on to the next one. But on Netflix, since we're talking about Netflix, there's my segue. Lucha Underground on Netflix, back to Netflix. There we go. Gotta find the connectors right there. But the Magic School Bus Rides Again premiered on Netflix this past week, or week and a half. This past week,
somewhere around there.
Semantics. But the Magic School Bus Rides Again premieres on Netflix. And this is kind of not a touchy subject, not really, because I'm not disliking it. I saw the first episode by myself. Daria, if you're listening to this, don't be mad at me. I had to do something. I'm coughing. I was gone off the Jameson. I needed something to watch. So don't be mad that I watched it without you. Because I already know that the very second that she hears like, oh, you watch Magic School Bus Rides Again, she's gonna punch me right in the arm, give me a dead spot, and I can't hit her back because that's just messed up. Anyway,
she could just punch you right in the throat, but whatever.
Hey, I'm not saying I don't want the dead arm compared to whatever else she is violent. She is a little violent little thing. So I'll take the arm thing compared to all the other stuff she's ever done to me. So I'm okay with that. But Magic School Bus Rides Again. I know I've said it like 5 times so far, so I'm going to say it one more time. The Magic School Bus Rides Again is actually not a remake so much as a continuation of the show. And they actually they hit on a couple of the usual anxieties that people have with remakes or reimaginings or whatever you want to call them of TV, because the whole first episode was just about I don't like change, and it felt pretty on the nose for what they were going for. I don't blame them though. The original voice of Miss Frizzle is actually on the show. She's on the show for I checked IMDb. They said for all 13 episodes of the season. So
oh wow,
yeah, she is on the show. Lin-Manuel Miranda does the intro, and it does take a little bit of getting used to because you're used to that bluesy sound for the opening theme, and Lin instead goes for his usual, his own little take on it. It's not bad. It's just different. It takes some getting used to. That's all it is. But Lily Tomlin does reprise her role as Miss Frizzle. She now becomes Professor Frizzle. Everybody in the class is the same, aside from the fact that Phoebe goes back to her old school. You remember her. Yes. They don't do this back in my old school. Yeah, she's gone back to her old school, and they brought in a new character to replace her, whose name I can't really remember. I only saw the first episode. Leave me alone.
I ain't saying nothing.
Yeah, exactly. But damn cough. But the first episode actually was pretty fun. It hit all the usual beats that it does. It does the usual random size thing. I swear to you, somebody on this show has a fetish.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. One bit,
What?
But they usually hit their usual beats. They teach you a lesson. They teach you about the ecosystem. They teach you about something scientific. It was pretty fun. It hit all the notes. And my question is for you guys, since the reason why a lot of skepticism surrounds this show is the fact that Hollywood and the small screens spend so much time making remakes and reimaginings. Like, when is it okay to just make a remake? When is it okay, and does that remake ever diminish the original? I bring up that latter question primarily for the fact that while I so far haven't found anything to really not enjoy about this continuation of the Magic School Bus,
I feel like there always will be that point, a jumped shark, if you will.
Yeah, you feel like it'll be there. And just the fact that, like, if my nephew ever asked me which one I would have him watch, I'd have him watch the original because that's just my nostalgia. It's there. The other problem with that is, like, I'm also a sports fan. And a lot of the reasons why I became a sports fan was the 90s was the peak, or at least the launching point of the NBA being a global brand. Not just America, it's a global brand. And that's primarily happened because of the likes of Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. You know the usual names. You had the Dream Team 2, and that really got American athletics put on the map in such a way that we could talk about it anywhere and people would be able to reference some of the greater athletes out there in the world
to keep up with the conversation.
Yeah, we could be there. And the reason I bring that up is because when I was young, I had things like you had your Saturday morning cartoons, but at the tail end of those Saturday morning cartoons, at least when it came to myself and my sister, who can't co-sign for me, thank you a lot, Daria. But after the Saturday morning cartoons went off on AFN, Armed Forces Network, we had the usual live action kid stuff, things like Sports Illustrated for kids, the Inside Stuff for kids, stuff like that. Yeah. Those little things that were childish. Childish, I wouldn't say is the word I'd use, but basically the same content catering to a younger generation. That's what it was. It was the same content catering to a younger generation. And if that wasn't there, I probably wouldn't have the same amount of interest that I had with sports, because sports are there. They're always going to be there. But by pulling me as a child into that world is what retained me. Now, I brought that up because while, yes, I will always love the original Magic School Bus, sometimes it's okay for them to get that reimagining catering to their generation to get them retained in. It's their own thing.
Yeah, it's their own thing, but does it have to look so lazy always?
Okay, you got a point there.
No, I saw like the trailer and it's like, wow, they just went low effort on this, didn't they?
I mean, it really didn't look bad, like in the actual show.
I mean, the actual show, but it just looks so flat and lifeless.
Yeah, they're I'm out of my depth. I'm out of my element when it comes to animation. I will gladly admit that. I'll gladly admit that. And it does kind of feel like it's something more endemic of animation in this day and age than it is to a remade version. It's just even more glaring because when we saw that old Magic School Bus, it did feel much more lifelike and lively and organic. Whereas this, it feels a little bit more processed, I guess is the word I would use. But that's more a thing that's been happening in animation in general. Take Teen Titans versus Teen Titans Go. It's a stylistic choice, but it's also a choice that kind of removes a lot of the life and character from the characters. Or the Powerpuff Girls remake. Go right ahead, please do.
Let me take you back to 1979. There was a bit of a push for space adventure TV shows and things like that. The rampant success of Star Trek had spurred the national interest, indeed global interest, in space again. There was a desire to capitalize on it. Enter a little series called Battlestar Galactica. I think you see where I'm going with this, Katie.
Yeah.
It was a pretty light-hearted show.
Light-hearted show about mass genocide, yes.
Well, they tried their best to keep it that way, but they generally portrayed everybody as not necessarily losing their humanity, or they kind of cast the Cylons as just the bad guys, you know. Perhaps I am misremembering a bit. I wasn't that well versed on the original. My father was. God rest him. Enter 2004, and the remade series of Battlestar Galactica launches to incredible acclaim, in part because it tackles a lot of issues. Here's my main point. It tackles a lot of issues relevant to the day. There was a lot of focus on the behind-the-scenes military logistics of it, the truly desolate and haggard state of the ragtag fleet, how it all weighed on Bill Adama's head. It made no bones of the fact that people died very unfortunate deaths. And it did all this to raise its point against authoritarianism and for a sense of true justice and of rightness, even in the face of a universe that doesn't make sense. In many ways, it prefaced our current situation these days, where it feels like nothing makes sense. And I would like to see another series take form and tackle relevant social issues of the day. That's what made Star Trek great. That's what made this new Battlestar Galactica great. And that's what I believe can and should make any remake great, is that it has to have some form of relevance to us as a piece of art and as and just as a creative expression on its own accord.
Right.
It deserves a chance to stand and speak with its own voice, not one necessarily borrowing from those that came before, but built upon it and used to promulgate further ideas that are helpful or harmful. For instance, how many alternate future episodes are there where certain Mr. Mustaches won the Second World War, you know?
Yeah.
But above all else, it behooves us to make things not as products but as art, and to consider everything we do artistically, and to be able to make a point artistically with your piece of work, whether it's a space parable about the evils of authoritarianism and the fight for survival in a cold, uncaring universe, or if it's a revival of an animation project that teaches people the wonders of the universe, the wonders of the body, the environment, the world around you, and reintroduce a new generation to lost concepts and thoughts and ideas that until this point they never have heard before. That's what I think is the okay, the go ahead signal for making a remake, is when you feel it has relevance and you feel it has significance in some way.
Okay, those are very, very cogent words when it comes to this, and I can't really disagree with it. It really has to feel like there's a reason it exists outside of what feels like a blatant cash grab in an attempt to really just capture something and make a quick buck. Yeah, we're in a capitalist nation. We get that. We get that. But you know, it can't all just be for money.
Right, exactly.
It can't all be.
Around every piece of art, there is always meta-narrative. There is always a context. No art is ever without context. Even the silliest and gaudiest and stupidest schlock in the world.
Yeah.
Ren and Stimpy might be one that I call right to memory because it was a rude, crude cartoon. It, to the casual eye, might not portray any significant cultural impact, but it did have an impact. It allowed a certain youthful irreverence to kind of fill the channel being Nickelodeon way back in the day.
Oh yeah.
And it kind of gave a bridging point between the how shall I describe it? Some more puerile forms of humor with a little bit more adult sensibility and jurisdiction, I should say. Because there was a lot, and I do mean a lot, of really crude jokes, sexual humor, sometimes almost blatantly overwrought.
Oh yeah.
Just to kind of like drive the point home that this is kind of like a glimpse into the adult world, you know? It allows you to kind of enjoy that without having to feel like you're an adult, you know?
So it kind of kept all of the childishness while also being a little bit more mature than it really, you know, I won't say needed to be, but yeah, it really gave them that little taste.
The primary creative head behind the series, John Kraflewski. Don't ask me to spell that, please.
It's John K.
John K.
Yeah, I'm about to say John K.
I will henceforth be referring to him as John K. For however long I go on this tangent. Please bear with me, folks at home. John K. has always been a bit of a creative anarchist, and always kind of had a sense of impropriety and irreverence that translated into his oeuvre of work with Spoomco. Allow me just a second to focus my thoughts because the cat just walked into the room and won't shut up.
Meow.
Yes, meow.
Oh, kitty cat.
Yeah, ruining our podcast.
Oh, it's all good. We'll fix her in post.
We'll fix him in post. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
yes, there was a certain irreverence to his work, and a certain anarchy, and it allowed cartoons to kind of inhabit a spectrum of places, and to kind of like introduce the adult vulgarity of, you know, just everyday busyness with without the responsibility that kind of entailed.
Sort of letting you try on being an adult for a bit.
Exactly, yes.
I can see that. I can get with that. But yeah, if you'd like, just like Lucha Underground, Magic School Bus Rides again is on Netflix. Go ahead, give it a check. If you also want to get a dose of your actual nostalgia, if you're from our generation, go ahead and catch the regular Magic School Bus, also on Netflix. Get all of those weird adventures that made you feel funny as a kid and you didn't know why. But on to our next and final topic, which is kind of a doozy. Over the past week and some change, y'all's president decided to tweet out some stuff about the NFL and the ongoing on-field protest that happens coincidentally during the anthem. I won't call it an anthem protest because that's not what it's there for. And despite how many ever attempts to treat it as such or to draw the attention away from its initial cause, which was brought about by Colin Kaepernick, it's not an anthem protest. It really isn't. But the controversy continues. We are in week 4, I want to say. I think. Week 4, week 3?
Week 3, I think.
Week 3, yes. My bad. Thank you. We are in week 3 of the NFL season, and the protest persists. Last week we had a much more milquetoast version of it by having Jerry Jones and a few other owners co-opted, namely not because of the intention of the protest, which was to draw attention to police brutality and the way that it affects many minority communities and the effects of racism that still persists to this day, that makes these communities much more maligned compared to the quote-unquote mainstream. They really locked arms and sang kumbaya because Trump decided to call them out on allowing the protests, because we are not a fascist nation, or it depending on your particular perspective regarding this country. But because they got the call out, they decided to stand up to Trump, get on their knees and lock arms and, as I said, sing kumbaya. And then this week they decided not to do too much of the same. We still have members dropping to a knee, raising a fist during the national anthem. Now, as I said, it did start out as a protest sparked by one Colin Kaepernick, who is currently unemployed by any NFL team, which hasn't had the guts to pull him in. And we're talking about teams that have pulled in Jay freaking Cutler. And I say this with all the love of a Bears fan. Go to hell, Cutler. He's playing for the Dolphins right now. They just pulled him off of the showroom lot. Not because he's like running like a well-oiled machine, but because he was probably selling those well-oiled machines while he was out of a job, retired, so to speak. But, as it were. But it did start with Colin Kaepernick. It actually started when he was sitting. He decided to sit for the anthem. It happened during the preseason of 2016. He was sitting during the anthem. One of his not really his teammate, but one of his colleagues. We will call him because he was also in the NFL at the time. I got his name right here, and I can't believe I'm messing it up. Nate Boyer. There it is. I'm looking right at it, and it escapes me. This is what happens when I don't have my sister here. You see this? I'll just go off on a tangent. It just happens. But Nate Boyer actually asked him not to sit, but to kneel, because it's meant as a sign of respect. It was a middle ground. His words were, we sort of came to a middle ground where he would take a knee alongside his teammate. Soldiers take a knee in front of a fallen brother's grave, to show respect. When we're on a patrol, and we go into security halt, we take a knee and we pull security. Nate Boyer served in the military. He was a special forces officer. And he's the one who is responsible for Colin Kaepernick not sitting during the anthem, but actually kneeling during the anthem. And it's strange that all over social media, we get people invoking military service as one of the reasons why this is disrespectful. Though I don't see how dropping to a knee and being in silent reverence during the national anthem is any more disrespectful than the people who will rain down boos upon the heads of anyone who dare break rank. I don't see how the former is more disrespectful than the latter, in all honesty, in my opinion. But we'll get to our opinions in a bit. But Colin Kaepernick kneels. He kneels throughout the whole entirety of the season. They put microphones in his face, and he gives the reasoning behind it. It's for police brutality. It's for racism. It's for discrimination. It's for just the general inequity that many communities face within this country, which is regarded as one of the greatest countries on the planet. He gives his reasoning. It's measured. He makes a pledge to donate $1 million. It's up to $900,000 to various programs to help these particular issues of his own money. He pledges, apropos of no one else but himself, to pledge this money and to give this money, and he does that up to $900,000. He's almost hit his goal right now. To bring attention, that's what this protest was for, and we got people calling it an anthem protest. We got people calling it a protest against Trump. We got people basically taking control and just co-opting this movement. And here we are right now, week 3 or week 4, whichever, of the NFL season, and it's still happening. It's gonna continue until things change, until people take stock, until something happens. But one of the bigger questions during all of this is really just what do y'all think about this anthem protest? What is your take on it?
Remember how I said how nothing exists without a meta narrative?
Yeah.
That's mostly in play here. The trouble is that people are taking control of the meta narrative itself, and unfortunately distilling and repackaging Kaepernick's message as something entirely not of his own making. That's one of the troubles about meta narrative these days, is that it can be taken from you without your consent, unless you maintain explicit control over it, and even then, it doesn't always help. I believe Colin Kaepernick is a hero. I believe he's doing absolutely what is required of him as an American citizen, and I would be very pleased to shake his hand someday, because he's doing the things that every conscientious objector and every decent human being would kill to have a chance to. And that's to be able to stand up for something, or rather take a knee for something.
Yeah.
That troubles our nation and has from its very inception.
And really, right now, I'm not going to get into a lot of the commentary surrounding this, because we'd be here for the whole damn day.
We would.
Trying to dispense through how people are reacting to it, the coded languages used in describing many of the people who are participating in it, the way that it's being, again, co-opted by people who have absolutely no desire to see the status quo in any way, shape, or form change.
Right.
So we're not going to get into that. What we are going to stick with, however, is just our initial takes on it. I and my sister, we are military brats. My mother was an officer, a major in the Air Force. She served for 20 plus years. My father was an NCO, a tech sergeant. He served for 20 years. I have both of their trifolded flags in my man room, in my media room. I have them both hanging up. They sacrificed time. They sacrificed dinners. They sacrificed a lot. My mother, when I was around 4 or 5, actually was in Iraq during Desert Storm. And I still remember actually seeing those grainy infrared images that we've been somewhat desensitized to, of artillery just being fired in the dead of night onto cities, and wondering if she's going to be okay, and staying up late at night just to see the broadcast. And neither of them are here with me. They both passed not too long ago. But this isn't the first time we've had a situation like this. I know not too many people will remember Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, who played for the Denver Nuggets in the mid-90s. I actually, before I gave my batch of my batch of cards to my little nephew Craig, I'm pretty sure I still had the little cutout for SI for Kids of Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. Still have those little cutout cards. They're worth nothing, or at least unless you find an avid collector with a very particular niche, they're worth nothing. But I remember his protest during the national anthem. His protest was simply to not put his hand over his heart. He lowered his head and he stood silently. And I still remember then that was considered disrespect. And that got him blacklisted. We're talking about a guy who had immense talent. Like, I remember him for his protest, but in my later years, in my more recent years, I decided to look up how he was as a player outside of this protest, and boy could ball. He could ball. And he got blacklisted and out of the league. He's not the only one, because playing for the Chicago Bulls, Craig Hodges, he didn't have an anthem protest, but he had his own. He was outspoken enough. He didn't show up at the White House, which is what happened with Steph Curry and most of the Warriors. He didn't show up at the White House during the Bulls' run, and he ended up getting blacklisted for his disrespect. He still manages to work with at-risk kids in Chicago. He still puts up a fight socially, but he gets blacklisted. I really have to pull them up because I can't remember their names off the top of my head. But we all remember the iconic images of the two medal winners with their fists raised in the air at the Olympics as a sign of a silent protest during the national anthem. They got their medals stripped because they felt it was a sign of disrespect. And it makes me wonder, like, none of these are outward showings of people spitting in the face of the country, of the anthem, of the flag, of the people that protect us. None of that is happening. None of that happens. We have people who fight and die for this country only to come back to disrespect, and they still will bow their heads, drop to their knees, raise a fist in deference to people paying attention to their plight, and it's seen as disrespect. I remember a story with my mother. We were in uniform. We were at a BX at Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana. And I had just played a game, and I'm wearing my blue jersey. I can't even remember the name of the team, but I remember it was a blue jersey. And we're walking through the BX because she had to get something. And one of the customers of the BX called her a porch monkey while in uniform.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
And that stuck with me. And that stuck with me. And that we're talking going on well into 20 years now. That stuck with me. That she fought, she went overseas away from her family at great risk to her. She sacrificed years and years, missed games, missed dinners, having to leave early in the morning because a plane crash happens just miles away from base and she has to go help identify bodies, shit like that. She did that and still gets called a porch monkey. And she, I'm pretty sure, would still do that again. She's not here with me. She can't defend. I'm not going to put words in her mouth, but I know her as a person. I know her as a person, so I know what her sacrifice is. And she would do it again. Not just for the businesses, because that's just kind of person she is, and that's the kind of person that my father was. But somehow, some way, that doesn't offend you enough to commit to action. All of your anger and all of your anguish with the world at large. But somehow, some way, someone dropping to a knee in deference to what this country represents, to make this country commit to the promise and the contract that it made with its citizens. That is what offends you. That is what gets you vocal and active. That's what makes you show your natural born ass out in these social media streets. That somebody can get shot in the back by a state official, and we still play this game of, well, what was his record? And we dispose of them. And we pay out to the families, but there is still no justice. That doesn't offend you, but somebody kneeling silently in deference, that gets you. And that's where the dissonance kind of doesn't jive right with me.
There's a saying that I'm quite fond of, and one that I've found more increasingly distressingly relevant these days. Fix that in post. If you want to know the character of a man, see how he treats those who pose no threat to him. That's the essence of what Kaepernick's protest has started. If you're motivated to action by somebody taking the least violent of all forms of resistance, and you wish to meet him with violence, this reflects your own character, not Kaepernick's. Please don't delude yourself any further. Remove yourself from the conversation until you know more. It's that simple. That's all I can qualifiably say on this. without invoking fire and brimstone of my own. I'm a passionate man. I'm particularly passionate about you. And I believe we owe it to each other as fellow humans to be as free as sensibly possible. And that's why I respect Kaepernick's protest as much as I do. Because he kneels for freedom. He kneels for justice. He kneels for equality. He kneels for decency.
Yeah.
Above all, he kneels for decency. And we must remain decent even in these indecent times.
Yeah, well, we get heavy here at HEELKAIJU.
We tend to get heavy in the back half of the podcast, I noticed too.
That's by design, because I want y'all to just get the levity in the beginning, just be like, haha, they're talking about video games and wrestling and nostalgic TV shows and everything, and then let's get serious.
Just hit you over the head with that anvil, because some anvils need to be dropped.
Yeah. I initially started this with the intention of not really trying to get too political and too heavy into it, but we don't have that privilege in these times.
That's precisely what I was going to say. We don't have that luxury anymore.
No,
we deserve, and you deserve to be as informed as possible about the world around you. You know. We're not just a wrestling podcast. We're a life podcast.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what we've grown into.
This is our perspective from a couple of wrestling fans, you know?
Yep. But if you like to make your comments well known, I'm gonna open it up to the floor. If you can catch us at Facebook, on Twitter at HEELKAIJU, and I won't guarantee that I won't drop the verbal hammer on you. Yeah. I'm kidding. We love y'all. We love y'all lovelies. We love the Kaiju Wrecking Crew. But we have reached our time. Before we go, though, my sister is usually one who does this little rollout. So I'm gonna hit this. I'm gonna hit this real quick. Let me make sure I can get this real quick.
Do it.
As always, you can catch our podcast on iTunes. Link in the description below, or at our website at HEELKAIJU.com. There you can find our shows, articles, and our merchandise to help keep the site up and running and to keep us providing you with content. You can also join the Kaiju Wrecking Crew by following us on our Twitter account at HEELKAIJU, where we'll provide any updates, developments, and insights. Thanks again for listening, and thank you again, King Dead and Blue Mage, for joining us. And I thank you all again for putting up with me in the absence of my handler, my sister Daria. And as always, remember, keep smashing, guys. Deuces.
Peace out, yo.
Have a good night. Take it easy. I hope tomorrow finds you well.